now, let's join ace broadcaster Mamode Akuga as he takes us inside the Niger Delta.
Hello out there and welcome to the program. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. I'm your regular host, Mamode Akuga. Our cover story on today's edition of the program takes a look at the negative impact of the continued neglect of seaports on the economy of the Niger Delta region, and indeed of the country at large. Featuring next in our lineup of issues is the people's reaction to the recent passage of a life pension bill by the Bayelsans State House of Assembly. And finally, in the edition of the program today, we'll bring you a report on the environmental remediation efforts undertaken so far on polluted sites of Okpare Olomu community in Ughelli South local government area of Delta State, where a recent oil spill has made life unbearable for its residents. We can inform you authoritatively that with the crude and rather manual methods being applied in the cleanup process, the entire exercise is already a failure. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region will be back after this time out. Don't go away.
Niger Delta Development Commission, NPDC, determined to make a difference.
Welcome back. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. And now to our first story. The federal government has been reminded of the urgent need to fix moribund seaports in the Niger Delta to unlock the region's potentials for a thriving maritime economy. The reminder is coming on the heels of the federal government plan the congestion of the traffic at the ever-busy Apapa seaport in Lagos State with the ongoing construction of a deep seaport in the Lekki Free Trade Zone, as well as its consideration of another seaport in the Badagry area of the commercial city. Correspondent Tekena Mefori has more.
Nigeria is endowed with a vast coastline that covers over 85 kilometers. By virtue of its littoral status, the Niger Delta covers 2/3 of the country's entire coastline and plays host to 4 of Nigeria's 6 largest seaports. The ports of Warri, Calabar, Onne, and Port Harcourt, all located in the Niger Delta, are managed by the Nigerian Ports Authority. The Nigerian Ports Authority is also saddled with the responsibility of managing the Apapa and Tinkan ports in Lagos State, southwest Nigeria. It is not in doubt that most of the seaports in the Niger Delta are naturally endowed with unique features that can be easily harnessed for the growth of the maritime sector. For instance, the Cocoa Port in Delta State is adjudged the deepest natural harbor in West Africa, while the Port Harcourt port serves as a multipurpose port due to its ability to handle dry, liquid and general cargoes. Sadly, however, all the seaports in the Niger Delta have long been abandoned on account of administrative neglect.
So if, for instance, I'm importing items into the country and I decide to import them down to Port Harcourt, as against the man that imports them to Lagos, if all things were to be equal, we'll have a level play field. Lagos, call Port Harcourt is the same cost. You find out that obviously my business will be enhanced. But if calling Lagos is far cheaper than calling Port Harcourt for one bureaucratic reason or the other, it simply means that from the word go, I'm working from a disadvantageous point of view.
All the revenue generation is accruing to Lagos alone, apart from the federal government allocation. So what we are losing here is enormous. And when you travel to Lagos, you clear your car and you pay revenue to Lagos State, we are losing a lot economically.
Following the abandonment of seaports in the Niger Delta, the ports in Lagos currently handle around 80% of shipping traffic in the country. It is not in doubt that the flourishing state of the Lagos ports at the expense of those in the Niger Delta is as a result of the federal government's skewed policy in ports administration in the country. The Apapa port, which has undergone routine rehabilitation over the years, currently has 5 private terminals and is the busiest seaport in the country. The Tinkan port, established in 1975 to serve as an alternative seaport in southwest Nigeria, is the second busiest seaport. At the moment, it handles between 10 and 16 vessels at a time and has up-to-date equipment. In furtherance of its skewed policy in the administration of the country's seaports, the federal government is constructing a new facility at the Lekki Free Trade Zone under a public-private partnership. The $1.5 billion Lekki Seaport project is a tripartite project in which the federal government's equity share stands at $110.9 million. When completed, the project is expected to create over 16,000 jobs and generate annual revenues worth over $190 billion to the Lagos state government and the federal government. Recently, the Federal Ministry of Transport, supervised by Mr. Rotimi Amechi, hinted that it was considering a new deep sea port at Badagry in Lagos State and Akwa Ibom State.
We have the minister that is from the region. We have DG Limassol that is from the region. And we even have the General Manager Operations that is from the region, NPA. I don't think we'll have it any better than what we've had, or what it is. I don't think it's going to be any better. Now, we're not telling them to go out of their way to skew the system to favor the people. No, we're not saying that. We as businesses in the region, we're saying, look, guys, just go back and do what is right. Spending money to set up 2 seaports in Lagos is a waste of money. What we expect you to do, get the other seaports in the country to be functional. It's not too much to ask.
The river channels in the Niger Delta are said to be too narrow and shallow to accommodate large vessels, which is why shipping companies take their vessels to Lagos. With a depth of only 6 meters, the Calabar port has become too shallow to host large seagoing vessels, and so is the Warri port. Although the Nigerian Ports Authority recently commenced dredging activity at the Warri Channel, there are fears that the project is dead on arrival due to the shoddy job done so far. Weighed down by a shallow water channel, the Calabar seaport has particularly suffered untold idleness in the last 13 years. In 2006, the federal government awarded a contract worth $56 million for the dredging of the Calabar Port Channel to take its depth down to 9.5 meters, but was never completed. In November 2014, a new contract valued at 20 billion naira was awarded to dredge the Calabar Channel up to 9.8 meters. For the second time, the project came against a brick wall.
This river is not dredged, and as such, bigger vessels cannot come into the port. Invariably, the Nigerian Ports Authority is just standing there. It's a dead dock. Nothing is happening there. The projection of the Calabar Ports Authority, the building of that port, was to open up the eastern flank of the country from Maiduguri. The whole of the northeast were supposed to make use of this port, but nothing happened. Politically, people are sitting on us as if we don't exist.
It goes without saying that the federal government's inefficient administration of the maritime sector is responsible for the retardation of seaports in the Niger Delta. Expectedly, the negligence of seaports in the Niger Delta now amounts to a lose-lose situation for all ports formations across the country. While the seaports in Nigeria's energy hub continue to lay idle, the thriving ports of Lagos are contending with a perennial traffic gridlock that takes a huge toll on the local economy.
These seaports are built 100 years ago with an installed capacity for 100 years. And those installed capacity, you need to take into cognizance that those installed capacity took into account of the other seaports, like Port Harcourt seaports, like the Warri seaports, before even the Lagos seaports. All of those were taken into account. Now you collapse all of the transactions into just Lagos. It's not going to work. It's the backlash we're suffering. And going by statistics, the country loses as much as 20 billion on a daily basis to the way the seaports are handled and being run.
We must fix the ports. The quickest answer to dealing with the Niger Delta today, the quickest, is for former Governor Amechi to get the One, Warri, Koko, Port Harcourt and Calabar ports working. It is a doable because these are existing ports. What are the bottlenecks? remove those bottlenecks, and create a whole swing of power and activities back in those ports.
As gateways to international trade and commerce, the nation's seaports have a vital role to play in its economic growth and diversification. It, however, appears that the federal government has lost sight to this fact, judging from its failure to improve the performance of the seaports. It is unfortunate to note that the federal government's reluctance to take advantage of available opportunities in areas like the maritime sector has dealt a heavy blow on the Nigerian economy in recent times. In September last year, the Debt Management Office pegged Nigeria's total debt at 22.43 trillion naira, which represents over 85% increase from the country's debt profile in 2015. Reacting to this development, the Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, had in the month of February this year advised the federal government against external borrowing, noting that the country's debt profile was approaching the pre-2005 Paris Club levels. For a country endowed with vast economic opportunities as could be found in the maritime sector, Nigeria has no reason to continue to wallow in debt. After Vice President Yemi Osinbajo pledged the federal government's commitment to revive the ports in the Niger Delta in September 2017, the reality on ground, however, suggests that it was another media hoax employed by previous governments in the country. The federal government needs not be reminded any further that reviving the nation's seaports, particularly those found in the Niger Delta, is the way to go in diversifying the ailing Nigerian economy. And the time to revive the ports is now.
Inside the Niger Delta. Inside the Niger Delta, and CITIA Associates Port Harcourt River State, in collaboration with Shekinah Institute, Santin, Johannesburg, South Africa, presents the 10th edition of its annual International Strategic Management and Leadership Retreat, themed Strategies for Building Personal and Organizational Capabilities for Superior All-Time Performance. Date Friday 7th to Wednesday 12th, June 2019. Venue Silver Oak Luxury Apartments, 120, 6th Road, Hyde Park, Saunton. Workshop fee 950,000 naira to cover workshop participation, resource materials, certificate of participation, accommodation for 5 nights, breakfast inclusive, guided bus tour of Johannesburg and Soweto, visit the Sun City Resort, and visa processing. For inquiries about participation, call Chris on 080-332-80242 or call Princess on 080-205-40134. Explore the world. Call now as registration closes on Tuesday, 30th April 2019.
The Bayelsa State House of Assembly is in the eye of the storm, as citizens of the state have vowed to cross swords with its members over the recent passage of a proposed life pension law to cater for the needs of lawmakers upon retirement. While those opposed to the recently passed life pension bill described it as insensitive and provocative, the leadership of the State Assembly maintained that the legislation was conceived as a just reward for service to the people and the state of Bayelsa. Trailing the recent approval of a monthly life pension for members of the Bayelsa State House of Assembly is a growing public outcry. The post-service monthly pension for past and present legislators of Bayelsa origin, including those who served in the Old River State, makes pension for the sum of 500,000 naira for those who have served in the capacity of a speaker, 200,000 naira for a deputy speaker, and 100,000 naira for the rest of the lawmakers.
They should as well consider other sector, not just the House of Assembly alone. That means the House of Assembly election will become a hot cake, so to say, after this bill is being passed. And so, to me, it's not a welcoming idea. It's not beneficiary to the government and as well the society.
These are individuals that have been in the State House of Assembly for 4, 8, some have been there for 12 or 16 years. Such things coming up like this is just not good for the citizens of Bayelsa State.
Among the worst critics of the recently passed life pension bill are civil servants and civil society community. They describe the lawmakers' decision as insensitive to the needs of other citizens.
Lawmakers who are not under pensionable employment to go on retirement and to receive retirement benefit is 100% uncalled for. It has never happened in anywhere in this world, not only Nigeria. I personally condemn this plan. It is primitive, it is provocative, it is very, very nonsensical.
When contacted for their comments on the controversy surrounding the life pension bill, Speaker of the Bayelsa State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Kumbawe Benson, and Leader of the House, Honorable Peter Akpe, who is the brain behind the proposed law, said it was only intended to secure the future of the legislators who are currently in active service to the state.
We have been making a lot of laws, a lot of bills for the state, the welfare of women, for insurances of different kinds, education, and so health, security, and all of that. And so we did not see anything wrong doing that for people to have just 100,000 naira as honorable member. Even the salary that we ordinarily have is 420,000 and 430, 460 thereabout. And so to have 100,000 as pension is what is the issue. I don't see anything wrong about that.
All over the world, the purpose of pension is known, especially for those that have served, especially those that you have given some level of responsibility. When they leave office, the challenges of meeting up with an average life, that is one of the major reasons for pensions. The mindset on that is pensions is definitely for those that have served. Is served. Now talk of all river states. In the pensions for civil servants, we inherited pensions from the civil servants, those that have served in the old river state. So if they are still living, no matter how they are, and they fulfill the conditions, which, well, nearly they are few, they should benefit. We start things and people copy. We have done things and people come from Kenya to copy.
In spite of their attempt to justify the introduction and passage of the life pension bill, the Bayelsa state lawmakers have been severely criticized by opinion leaders in the Niger Delta. Frontline human rights lawyer Frank Tete describes their action as a mockery of representative democracy.
For these men who are politicians and representatives of the people so-called, to now put their interest first and above that of the people is an expression of the failure of democracy. So in their interest, in their own interest, they must immediately reverse that plan and apologize to the Bayelsa people for being misguided by their selfish and personal interests.
Having been passed on the floor of the Assembly, the life pension bill for lawmakers awaits the assent of Governor Seriaka Dixon to become law. Sources in the executive arm of government, however, hinted that the intention of the bill, which is contrary to the transparent posturing of the restoration government in Bayelsa State, is not likely to see the light of day.
Everything are dying. The whole fish has gone.
From that very good health, we are now seeking.
Oil is not supposed to be on the surface. Oil is supposed to be inside the pipe.
For them, it is business. But for us, it is our livelihood, our lives, our children, and our future.
Still staying with the Bayelsa State House of Assembly, apparently frustrated by what he considers the poor outcomes of protest against anti-people's policies in the country, renowned Niger Delta activist, Comrade Joseph Eva, has prescribed a rather unusual punitive action against the Bayelsa lawmakers for their alleged legislative rascality in the passage of the life pension bill.
I think it is time we have to show them, give them good lessons so that others coming after them, we respect the name Bayelsan. Look how they are messing the name Bayelsan. They want life pension. It is time we line them in front of, in Bayelsan, in Yanagwa waterfront, and flog them. They deserve flogging. Protest and carry placard will not solve the problem. We better line them up in front, in Bayelsan waterfront, and flog them before the river, flog them, give them 12 strokes of the cane. Then we ask men of God like Bishop Agri to come and cast out the demons. They need deliverance. Bayelsa State House of Assembly members. When we start from Bayelsa, other assemblymen in Niger Delta who are they don't even know how these states were created. They don't have history in their head. They do whatever they like. They disgrace the Niger Delta before the international community. When we start from Bayelsa, flogging them, then assemblymen of God to cast out the demon, that wayward demon in their head, then I think we have a solution.
Inside the Niger Delta. Overcome that blackout. Enjoy 24 hours affordable electricity without noise pollution or daily purchase of petrol or diesel. Invest in alternative power from Exalted Eagles Nigeria Limited. We stock high-grade, long-lasting solar panels, modern hybrid inverters, and rugged long-life batteries. We also have for sale solar-powered water heaters and water pumping machines. We also stock for sale large quantities of solar-powered street lights, security lights, and lanterns, as well as powerful voltage regulators and auto gate openers. We guarantee our products with reliable after-sales service at our maintenance centers. We have offices all over the Niger Delta, including Lagos and Abuja. For contacts, call Kinsley on 0806 388 7516 or Nick on 090 87 000 335. Exalted Eagles Nigeria Limited, your source for alternative power.
Several months after an oil spillage occurred from a ruptured pipeline belonging to the Nigerian Petroleum Development Company at Okpari Olomu community in Ughelli South local government area of Delta State, there was a recent attempt to evacuate the spilled crude from surface water. We can inform you authoritatively that with the crude and manual methods being applied in the cleanup, the entire process is already a failure. Correspondent Chika Bodozie, who has been monitoring the situation, filed in this report.
When our crew first visited Okpari Olomu community in March this year, it was gathered that the spillage had been left unattended to for several weeks. With no word from the Nigerian Petroleum Development Company and the Niger Delta Western, the joint owners and operators of the ruptured pipeline, members of the community became apprehensive.
One morning, they carry passenger, they pass. I call they see the up of this river, it just float with oil like this. We go ask, so what did they happen? Because in a pipeline, I burst. Pipeline, I burst. We go day, 2-3 days, they many. So just one faithful day like that, so yes, they come first check everywhere. Let's say the thing, the many where say, not be the thing burst on you, say na people burst on. So that day, whether the soldier put lights, you know, because they see fire, they burn for the bush and for the water, just to come out the oil. Now, so this water don't dey for almost 1 year plus now. No fish dey inside again.
My father is the owner of this farm. This na land. Nobody never give me 10 kobo self. No, see. This now the first time to even blanch here to talk with me like this. Because my senior brother is not here. My junior brother, any of them not there. Just only me with the children. Don't kobo self. You know see. Oh yeah, open like now the fire now. So kobo self. A surprise.
Several weeks after the spillage occurred, the polluters eventually contracted the private firm to evacuate the crude through a manual process.
We'll do manual recovery as well as automated one, whereby we tend to pump this crude from the river using a skimmer machine and recovering the oil to either GP tanks or boats, and then evacuating this crude oil back to the company using a vacuum truck. and also after the process we tend to remediate the environment to ensure it's very okay. It can actually grow greens as well.
With no immediate action taken to protect human health and the environment, the belated remedial effort only amounts to flogging a dead horse. Perhaps more worrisome is the fact that the affected community was neither consulted nor informed about the ongoing remediation work.
The entire community people ought to be aware of what is happening. If you go back to 1992 Rio Declaration, Article 10 of it says that when it has to do with issues of environment and development, that those who are affected ought to be part of virtually every decision that you make on that process, because it's about them. And so in this case, the people are aloof from what you're doing.
There is a direct relationship between the environment and the survival of human beings. And now there is ecocide going on, which is the destruction of the environment. The ecosystem is dying. How can the human beings there survive? So when you are killing the environment, you are indirectly killing the people.
The crude oil spillage at Okpari Olumu is said to have occurred many times in the past, suggesting an act of sabotage yet to be unraveled. On each occasion, no compensation was paid to the affected community, which continues to groan under untold ecological devastation.
And with that report, we'll draw the curtain on the program. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region will be back same time next week on this station. You can also stay connected by following us on our social media platforms showing on your screen right now. And until then, I'm yours sincerely, Mahmoud Akuga, appreciating you for staying tuned. Bye for now.